Hey there, it's Orphe Diwangi, the co-host of the Everyday Economics podcast. Exciting news! Check out my new weekly column at thecentersquare.com. Join me as I break down complex economic trends in a way that's easy to understand for everyone. Check out the column every week and stay informed about the economic forces shaping our world. Be sure to subscribe to the Everyday Economics podcast and visit thecentersquare.com today.
Welcome to Wisconsin in Focus. I'm JD Davidson. The Wisconsin Crime Lab was put under the gun Monday. Literally put under the gun when a new law went into effect that says sexual assault kits must be tested within 6 months. Just 2 days into the law, an audit report painted a grim picture of those expectations. Joining us today is Ben Yount, Wisconsin contributor for the Center Square. Ben, tell us more about the law and then more about this audit.
Yeah, Wisconsin had a problem a couple of years back. It may be even almost, it's 2024, so this could go back to almost 2018, when it was discovered that hundreds and hundreds of old sexual assault DNA kits weren't tested. Some of these were sitting on shelves at the state police crime labs. Some of these were sitting on shelves at local police departments. Under then Republican Wisconsin Attorney General Brad Schimel, there was a major push to get the kits tested. As that scandal worked forward in the legislature and as the crime labs began to test those kits, there were a handful of cases that were solved. There were some that were re-prosecuted. They've actually found suspects in them. Some people were already in prison. Some people had died. But from this backlog of untested DNA kits, you had this push to do something. And the law that took effect on July 1st of this year, which was just Monday, required that all DNA kits in sexual assaults be tested within 6 months. It would be even sooner if it was a case that was still going to trial or where that immediate DNA was needed. And so this is not a new sort of out of the blue, oh, wait, we've got to have these tested quickly now. This is something that has been in the works for years, that has been the deadline for years. And just ahead of that deadline, and like we said in the story, on Friday, the Legislative Audit Bureau, who are the people who are tasked with actually seeing what's going on in state government, took a look at Wisconsin's crime labs and came to the conclusion that they're not getting kits tested within 6 months. The average time is about 9 months, and that includes kits that get sent out to private labs for test and comes at a time when there's been a decrease in the number of kits being sent to the crime lab. So they have less work, but it's taking them longer to turn around. And you also have this problem of it's no longer a suggestion or a want or a preference by law enforcement. It is a state law. And so you have Wisconsin lawmakers saying, we now know that something's not right at the crime lab. We've got to fix it.
So I have a couple of questions. First, if you tell me something's a law, punishment has to go with it. What's the punishment if this doesn't happen?
There's nothing that I saw in the statute. Now, I didn't read the full statute.
Sure.
I didn't go back and take a look and see exactly what it is. I don't think that state police criminologists are going to jail here in Wisconsin, but this is part of you know how this works, that the Attorney General who runs the Department of Justice, who runs the crime lab, he's going to have to answer questions as to why he's not living up to the terms of this law. The Attorney General, Josh Kaul, is also going to have to answer questions as to why there aren't enough state police crime lab technicians. That was one of the findings in the audit, that they have some open jobs at the crime labs. And perhaps if they had more people working as they have the head count, you wouldn't need to rely on slower private labs as much. It's been a full day as we tape this podcast since the law has taken effect. And I don't think that the flying squad like Elliot Ness and the Untouchables is going to come through the door and start slapping people in cuffs. But this is going to be a very difficult thing. Remember, next spring of 2025, the Wisconsin legislature is going to write a new state budget. And the Attorney General and the Department of Justice are going to come and ask for more money in that state budget. They always do. And with this audit lingering out there, if there's no proof that this has been turned around, well, I would expect Josh Kaul, the Attorney General, and the Department of Justice to have a very hard time making the case to lawmakers that they need more money because they have all that they need right now, and the LAB says they're not getting the job done.
Absolutely. And this is important. Whether you're talking about sexual assault kits or murder evidence that needs to be tested, and I tend to think that this is not only an issue in Wisconsin, but an issue around the country where slow results are probably hindering prosecutions, but I would believe frustrating victims more than anything else. Did this law contain any funding that we know of?
Well, the state police, I should stop saying the state police because it is the Department of Justice here in Wisconsin. The state patrol, the highway patrol is the highway patrol, but these are not troopers. These are crime lab technicians. In addition to the regular sort of, we need money for prosecutors and we need money for investigators, the latest budget gave money to the Department of Justice to fully staff the crime lab. That was the complaint from the earlier backlog. Well, we just don't have enough people. And as is so much in government, if only we had more people hired, then we'd have the people we need. And you end up with a lot of people on the payroll. And unfortunately, time after time, snapshot after snapshot, audit after audit, you see that the work still doesn't get done. But back to the bigger point that you were making, justice delayed is justice denied. And it sounds cliche, but it is absolutely true. And you have not had many, but there have been a handful of cases where someone was connected to this crime and that crime and that crime through DNA. And if you're the victim of the third crime, you absolutely should ask the question, why wasn't this person caught before? Is there anything we could have done to get this person off the street? And that's where the frustration lies. One of the points we didn't put into the story was about half, little under half, 47% of police departments across Wisconsin said they are satisfied with the work that they get from the crime lab. Another quarter, 23% maybe, said they are dissatisfied with the work that they get from the crime lab. There was another quarter or so that said they didn't really have an opinion. They're not satisfied or dissatisfied. It's just what the crime lab is. And that's a telling piece that while, the crime lab is doing most of what it needs to do, there is frustration out there, whether it's police departments or prosecutors who, if you've got a case and you're looking to go to trial, if you're looking to file charges, if you're looking to make sure, hey, look, can we lock this person up? And you're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for the crime lab, that absolutely gets frustrating. And from the crime victim's perspective, you just want to know what's going on. And to hear, well, it takes about 9 months to get that. State law says 6. Why am I waiting 9?
This is an important story at a time when important stories get lost. Ben, thanks for joining us today and keeping this in the forefront. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com.
Hey there, it's Orphe Diwangi, the co-host of the Everyday Economics podcast. Exciting news! Check out my new weekly column at thecentersquare.com. Join me as I break down complex economic trends in a way that's easy to understand for everyone. Check out the column every week and stay informed about the economic forces shaping our world. Be sure to subscribe to the Everyday Economics podcast and visit thecentersquare.com today.